I've been talking to people just like you for over 20 years now, and if there's one thing that breaks my heart, it's when someone comes into my office and tells me they've been doing something in their kitchen every single day that's quietly damaging their body. And the worst part, they had no idea. They thought they were being smart. They thought they were saving time, maybe even saving money. But what they were actually doing was creating something dangerous on their dinner plate. Now, I'm not here to scare you, but I am here to tell you the truth, because this matters more than most people realize. There are four very common foods sitting in your refrigerator right now that millions of Americans reheat without thinking twice. But when you heat them up a second time, something changes at a chemical level, and that change has been linked to serious health risks, including damage to your pancreas, your digestive system, and yes, even an increased risk of cancer. I know that sounds alarming, but stay with me because I'm going to walk you through exactly what these foods are, why this happens, and most importantly, what you can do starting today to protect yourself and the people you love. This isn't complicated and it doesn't require you to throw out half your kitchen, but it does require you to understand what's really going on when you press that button on your microwave. So let's talk about it, clearly and honestly, because your health is worth those few extra minutes. Let me start with something that might surprise you. When you cook food the first time, you're not just heating it up, you're actually changing its structure. Proteins break down, starches transform, and certain enzymes either activate or deactivate depending on the temperature. That's normal, that's cooking. But here's where it gets tricky. When you take that same food, put it in the refrigerator, and then heat it up again the next day, you're putting it through a second round of chemical changes. And for some foods, that second round creates compounds that your body simply wasn't designed to handle. Now, I want you to think about your typical week. Maybe you made a big pot of chicken and rice on Sunday. Maybe you cooked extra vegetables so you'd have leftovers for lunch. Maybe you roasted some potatoes to go with dinner and saved half for the next night. These are smart, practical things to do. We've all been taught not to waste food, and I completely understand that. But what nobody told you is that certain foods become genuinely harmful when they're reheated, especially if they've been stored improperly or reheated more than once. The first food I need to warn you about is rice. Yes, plain white rice or brown rice. I know that sounds shocking because rice feels so simple, so harmless. But here's what happens. When you cook rice and then let it sit at room temperature, even for just an hour or two, bacteria called Bacillus cereus can start to multiply. This bacteria produces toxins that are heat resistant. That means even when you reheat the rice thoroughly, those toxins don't go away. They stay in the food. And when you eat them, they can cause serious digestive distress, vomiting, diarrhea, and over time, repeated exposure to these toxins puts stress on your pancreas and liver. Your pancreas has to work overtime to manage the inflammatory response. And chronic inflammation is one of the leading pathways to pancreatic cancer. Now, I'm not saying you can never eat leftover rice again, but here's what you absolutely must do. As soon as the rice is cooked, you need to cool it down quickly and get it into the refrigerator within 1 hour. Not 2 hours. Not when you finish eating. Within 1 hour. And when you reheat it, make sure it's steaming hot all the way through and only reheat it once. If it's been sitting in your fridge for more than a day, honestly, it's safer to just toss it. I know that feels wasteful, but your health is more valuable than a cup of rice. The second food is chicken. And I know this one is going to be hard to hear because chicken is everywhere in the American diet. We grill it, bake it, put it in salads, make sandwiches with it. But chicken is a protein-dense food. And when you cook it, then cool it, then reheat it, the protein structure changes in a way that makes it much harder for your stomach to digest. Even more concerning, if the chicken wasn't stored at the right temperature or if it's reheated unevenly, bacteria like Salmonella or Campylobacter can survive. And these aren't just bugs that give you food poisoning for a day or two. Repeated exposure to these bacteria, combined with the digestive stress of eating improperly reheated protein, creates chronic gut inflammation. And we now know that gut inflammation is directly connected to pancreatic health. Here's the thing. Your pancreas produces enzymes that help you digest protein. When you eat chicken that's been reheated multiple times, your pancreas has to produce more and more enzymes to break it down. Over months and years, this overwork can lead to pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas. And chronic pancreatitis is one of the biggest risk factors for pancreatic cancer. So if you're going to eat leftover chicken, eat it cold in a salad, or make absolutely sure it's only reheated once at a high temperature and consumed immediately. But here's what really worries me. Most people don't just reheat these foods once. They reheat them 2, 3, sometimes 4 times throughout the week. Maybe you take a container to work, heat it in the microwave, eat half, put it back in the fridge, then heat it again the next day. Every time you do that, you're compounding the risk. You're layering chemical changes on top of chemical changes, and your body pays the price. Now let's talk about the third food, and this one might be the most common mistake I see in American kitchens. Potatoes, especially when they're wrapped in foil or stored in airtight containers after cooking. You might be thinking, how could a potato possibly be dangerous? It's just a vegetable. But here's what most people don't understand. When you bake or boil a potato, then let it cool down slowly at room temperature, you're creating the perfect environment for a bacteria called Clostridium botulinum. You might know it better as botulism. And while full-blown botulism is rare, low-level exposure to these bacterial spores puts enormous stress on your digestive system and your pancreas. But there's something even more concerning that happens with reheated potatoes. When they cool down and then get reheated, especially in a microwave, they develop something called resistant starch. Now, resistant starch isn't always bad. In fact, in small amounts and in the right form, it can be good for your gut. But when you're eating large amounts of resistant starch from reheated potatoes on a regular basis, it ferments in your intestines in a way that creates gas, bloating, and inflammation. And again, that inflammation doesn't just stay in your gut. It travels. It affects your pancreas, your liver, and over time it contributes to the kind of cellular damage that can lead to cancer. I had a patient once, a woman in her early 60s, who came to me complaining of constant bloating and abdominal pain. She couldn't figure out what was wrong. She'd been eating healthy, or so she thought. Lots of vegetables, lean protein, whole grains. But when we sat down and went through her actual daily routine, I found out she was meal prepping every Sunday. She'd bake a dozen potatoes, store them in foil, and then reheat 2 or 3 throughout the week for lunch and dinner. Sometimes she'd reheat the same potato twice. Her digestive system was in chaos, and her pancreatic enzyme levels were elevated, which is a red flag. We changed one thing. We stopped the reheated potatoes. Within 3 weeks, her symptoms were 50% better. Within 2 months, she felt like a completely different person. So here's my advice. If you're going to cook potatoes, cook only what you need for that meal. If you do have leftovers, get them into the fridge immediately. Unwrap them from any foil and store them in a breathable container. And if you're going to eat them the next day, eat them cold. Maybe in a potato salad with a little olive oil and vinegar, or just skip reheating altogether. Your body will thank you. Now, the fourth food is one that's going to surprise a lot of people because it's considered so healthy. Spinach, and really any leafy green vegetable like kale, chard, or arugula. These vegetables are packed with nitrates, which are natural compounds that come from the soil. When you eat fresh spinach, those nitrates are fine. Your body handles them well. But when you cook spinach, then store it, then reheat it, those nitrates convert into nitrites. And nitrites, especially when exposed to heat multiple times, can further convert into something called nitrosamines. And nitrosamines are known carcinogens. They've been directly linked to pancreatic cancer, stomach cancer, and esophageal cancer. I know this is hard to hear because we've been told for years to eat more greens, and that's still true. Greens are incredibly good for you, but the way you prepare them and store them matters just as much as eating them in the first place. If you make a big batch of sautéed spinach or steamed kale, eat it fresh that day. Don't save it and reheat it tomorrow. The nutritional benefit you think you're getting is actually being turned into a chemical risk. And here's the part that really gets me. A lot of people are doing this with the best intentions. They're trying to save time. They're trying to be efficient. Maybe you're taking care of a spouse or grandkids, or you're just busy and cooking every single night feels overwhelming. I completely understand that. But efficiency in the kitchen shouldn't come at the cost of your long-term health. There are smarter ways to meal prep that don't involve reheating these specific foods. Let me give you some alternatives that actually work. If you want to prep rice ahead of time, cook it fresh and freeze individual portions immediately. When you're ready to eat, thaw it in the fridge overnight and eat it cold, or steam it once from frozen. That's different from reheating. If you're cooking chicken, consider making recipes where the chicken is eaten cold, like chicken salad, or slice it thin and use it fresh without reheating. For potatoes, roast just enough for one meal. Or if you love potatoes, try sweet potatoes, which handle reheating a bit better. And for greens, buy pre-washed spinach or kale and add it fresh to smoothies, salads, or lightly sauté, only what you'll eat right then. The truth is, your pancreas is one of the hardest working organs in your body, and it doesn't get nearly enough respect. It's producing insulin to manage your blood sugar, enzymes to digest your food, and it's doing all of this quietly in the background. But when you repeatedly expose it to inflammatory foods, bacterial toxins, and carcinogenic compounds from reheated meals, you're asking it to do a job it was never designed to handle. And over time, it breaks down. So let me bring this all together for you because I want you to walk away from this video with clarity, not fear. The point isn't to make you afraid of your own kitchen. The point is to give you the knowledge to make better choices, starting today. And the beautiful thing is, these changes are simple. They don't require expensive supplements, fancy equipment, or a complete overhaul of how you live. They just require a little bit of awareness and a few small shifts in your daily habits. Here's what I want you to remember. Food is supposed to nourish you. It's supposed to give you energy, support your immune system, and help your body repair itself as you age. But when food is handled incorrectly, stored carelessly, or reheated without thought, it can do the exact opposite. It can become a source of stress, inflammation, and long-term damage. And the scary part is you won't feel it right away. It's not like you eat reheated rice one time and your pancreas shuts down. It's slow. It's cumulative. It builds up over months and years until one day something goes wrong, and by then, it's much harder to fix. But you have the power to stop that process right now. Think about the four foods we talked about: rice, chicken, potatoes, and spinach. These aren't rare or exotic ingredients. These are foods that show up on American dinner tables every single night. And that's exactly why this message is so important. If you can make smarter decisions around just these four foods, you'll be protecting your pancreas, your digestive system, and your overall health in ways that most people never even think about. Let me give you a simple rule to live by. If you're going to cook extra food, ask yourself one question before you put it in the fridge. Can I eat this cold, or should I just make less next time? If the answer is that you're planning to reheat it and it's one of these four foods, then either adjust your portion size or find a different way to use it. Make chicken salad instead of reheated chicken breasts. Turn leftover rice into a cold rice bowl with fresh veggies and a light dressing. Roast only the potatoes you need. Add your greens fresh at the end of cooking, not at the beginning. And here's another tip that'll make a huge difference. Start paying attention to how your body feels after you eat. A lot of people ignore bloating, gas, sluggish digestion, or that heavy feeling in their stomach. They think it's just part of getting older, but it's not. Your body is trying to tell you something. If you notice that you feel worse after eating reheated leftovers, that's a sign. Listen to it. Your gut and your pancreas are communicating with you, and the sooner you pay attention, the better off you'll be. Now, I also want to talk about something deeper because this isn't just about food, it's about respect. Respect for your body. Respect for the years you've lived and the years you still want to live well. You've worked hard your whole life. You've taken care of other people. You've sacrificed and pushed through and done what needed to be done. But now it's time to take care of yourself with the same energy and attention. And that starts with the small things, the daily things, the choices you make in your kitchen when no one else is watching. I've seen too many people develop serious health problems that could have been avoided with just a little bit of knowledge. Pancreatitis, digestive disorders, even cancer. And when I ask them about their habits, so many of them say the same thing. I didn't know. I thought I was doing the right thing, and that's why I'm here. That's why I make these videos, because you deserve to know. You deserve to have someone tell you the truth in a way that's clear, kind, and actually useful. So here's what I want you to do today. Go into your kitchen and take an honest look at what's in your fridge. If you've got rice that's been sitting there for 2 days, toss it. If there's chicken you've already reheated once, don't reheat it again. If you've got foil-wrapped potatoes or leftover cooked spinach, make the call. Is it worth the risk? I think you already know the answer. And moving forward, commit to cooking fresher, smaller portions. I know it takes a little more time. I know it's not always convenient. But your health is worth it. Your pancreas is worth it. The opportunity to live a long, strong, active life without chronic pain or disease is absolutely worth it. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be intentional. One more thing. If this video helped you, if it opened your eyes to something you didn't know before, do me a favor. Share it with someone you care about. Your spouse, your sister, your friend from church, your neighbor down the street. Because chances are they're making the same mistakes and they have no idea. You could be the person who helps them avoid years of unnecessary suffering. That's powerful. That's love in action. I'm here because I believe you can take control of your health, no matter how old you are, no matter what you've been through. It's never too late to make better choices. It's never too late to protect your body and give it what it needs to thrive. So start today. Start with these 4 foods and watch how much better you begin to feel. Your energy will improve, your digestion will settle, and deep inside, your pancreas will get the break it's been desperately needing. You've got this. And I'm cheering you on every step of the way.